A to the K.
A to the K.
A to the K. Hello one and all, welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show, and welcome to another episode of 10! We'll make it a thing one of these days.
One of these days. Hey,
today,
if Sean Spears can do it.
I mean, we can't do it any worse than Sean Spears. Let's be fair. But we are talking the 10 best custom WWE titles of all time.
Yeah.
And you may be thinking, there was 10? And yes, there was.
We fucking made sure there was. Yeah.
So, surprisingly more than 10 actually. So, interesting to see if you agree with the ones on the list. But we'll come in number 10 with The Fiend title.
Bit of a polarising one, this. And there's a reason this is number 10, because it probably isn't my fave. But as far as custom titles go, it's unique as fuck, right? This probably would have worked better had it not have been, like, both his mask and his belt.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, to be
that
fair,
kind of threw me a little bit. But
I like the way that he would wear it around his neck. And so it was almost like that became his mask for a bit. Yeah, especially when he was as Bray and not The Fiend.
But I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Like, this is probably a polarizing one in terms of, like, should this have ever been the title? But you know what? As far as unique designs go and a cool look goes, it's a cool looking belt.
Yeah. And you know for a fact it sold a shit ton on WWEshop.com.
Most likely. Yeah.
Just WWE, say that again. WWEshop.com. Wish we had an affiliate code, but we don't. But
if you put in A2theK10 on WWEshop.com,
once again,
nothing will happen.
You get nothing. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's not the best of all time, but for the character it was and the wackiness of the funhouse and all that kind of stuff, it kind of made perfect sense that Bray would, make
it definitely would be something he did.
That was his face.
And I think it was a fun title. It was a great few weeks. We had a lot of laughs, but it's over, okay?
Yeah. It's in the past now, man. It's in the past.
So it doesn't quite get any higher on the list, and I think with cause. But as far as unique custom titles go, it's got to be on the list.
Indeed. And if you have that title yourself in your collection, let us know in the comments, because we're keen to hear.
And you don't see a lot of them, actually.
Well, exactly.
All these belt merchandise.
Because it was a bit of a flash in the pan. It kind of just happened, and you don't see many people, with it. So maybe it's a collector's item.
It's tough to replicate as well. You get like loads of different companies making titles that WWE probably wouldn't be overly thrilled about, but it's really hard to custom make that as well. So
indeed. So that's our number 10. Coming in at number 9, slight cop out, you may say, because it's like, well, it's not a custom title, it's the same title. Well, the strap colour's custom. I
mean, are we just specifically talking this one? Because this had a few custom strap colours, didn't it?
It did. So it's not just the teal. So Ultimate Warrior started this kind of thing with the IC title and stuff, and a larger-than-life character like the Ultimate Warrior can't possibly be contained to the black strap.
Of course.
So you had to have them matching all of his crazy attire. And he did it with the IC title for a bit. And then when he won the world title, he decided to pass that over as well. So we did see various colours. We saw a white. We saw this lovely teal colour here. I think we may have had an orange in there.
Have we picked the teal one as a personal favourite there? Or?
Just because it was the only render I could find.
No, that's fine. I wasn't sure whether that was like a particular favourite colour.
Well, to be fair, it's my favourite. I like the white, but the white is more synonymous with the IC title for me for some reason.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thank you, Cody Rhodes, because
I love that title design, Cody. That's probably my favourite IC title. So
exactly.
Thanks, Cody.
I don't know. This just added a little bit of personality to a belt that fit the character, and I suppose similar to the way we spoke about the Fiend. Then this, the Ultimate Warrior coming out and having it different one all the time, customizable, and from a merchandise standpoint as well, whenever you make figures and replica titles, it's like, well, we've got all these different color straps now.
Damn right.
So it didn't really flow through for a lot of other wrestlers, so it was very much unique to the Warrior. I think Shawn kind of tried to do it with the IC title and stuff as well, didn't he? With the white strap
did he just
things,
try and connect it to him by having it being a giant cock?
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so for me, you may call it a cop out, but in terms of a custom title, these custom straps definitely added a lot to the Warrior's reign, I think, and made him stand out as a champ. So
it's definitely a standout, yeah.
For me,
and it's also a cop out. Nice one, Cop.
Yes, standouts and cop outs all round. Number 8.
So this is a very unique, idea. Well, is it idea? I'm going to say idea rather than design. So the design of the women's title is still broadly the same here. And this is at an era, I think, not long before the Divas title came in and kind of replaced the women's title. But this is synonymous, or only ever, with Lay Cool as a team. In which, to be honest, the segment in which they did this was somewhat cringeworthy, where they both had the title. Teddy Long insists that there can only be one title on SmackDown. That's his ruling. Takes one title away from him, and they happen to just pull the other one apart.
But it was premeditated. It was a ruse.
No, well, yeah, it wasn't like they physically did that. They clearly just played him at his own game there. But yeah, as far as like design goes, it's something we haven't seen a lot in terms of creativity of like sharing the title and literally physically sharing the title, and it kind of was in keeping with them as a team. And I think as far as unique concepts go, it's massively unique concept. It's very, very different, and we've not seen it done before or since, actually.
No, I think them two being Lay Cool and be like acting as one brand and one kind of thing. The fact that they both wore titles and then Teddy doing that whole thing. I thought it was a creative way. I agree with you. It was a little bit cringy in terms of the segment of it, but I think the actual concept of them being so intrinsically linked that they couldn't decide that they had to split it. They just literally split the title between them.
Yeah, but it's like super unique as well as an idea and something, like you say, they've never really done it again.
No, and I think for the women's division as well, that didn't really get a lot of time or focus. This was, and it's not amazing, don't get me wrong, but it made them stand out as they needed to, and it gave them something different. And yeah, I think for that reason, it's one of those that, even though it wasn't a massive customization to the belt, it was something that was so drastic that and so fitting with their characters that you got to respect it. So that was number 8.
Again, not one you can buy easily either.
Indeed. I mean, you can buy just the women's title and cut it
in half,
if you really want to.
That wouldn't be the same.
Yeah. Coming in at number 7. Now, this one is fascinating because we'll come on to one of the other titles in a little bit, but this was one of the first examples of a wrestler customizing the title to be all about them. We won't say the other ones because that'll kind of give some stuff away. But The Rock had the Brahma Bull belt. It was made, it was good to go, it was ready, and we never even got to bloody see it, which is the shame. And if you look at it, look at the title itself, they actually sold merchandise of this, even though it never really made TV. Madness. So you could tell by all kind of intensive purposes, this was going to be something that put The Rock over, kind of solidified him as like bigger than the title. He had his own belt and stuff, and for whatever reason, it just didn't materialize. But if you look at a title that fits the character, I don't think there's many a title, that do it better than this. Obviously, Giant Brahma Bull, you look at it and you just go, that's The Rock's belt. And I don't think it looked that bad either, to be perfectly honest. Now, I think it was obviously, in this render they put the WWE logo on it, but it was obviously during the WWF times that it was planned. But I don't know, I could see The Rock coming out of this. The fact it was made, manufactured, ready to go as well, and we just never got to see it.
It's insane that they just got that far and never pulled the trigger.
Yeah, so that is still a bit baffling, but I don't know, I could have absolutely seen The Rock coming out to this and just, solidifying himself as larger than life, larger than the belt. But unfortunately, he never got to see the light of day, which is a bit of a shame. But look at it, sexy title,
sexy,
befitting for a Brahma Bull, if you will.
Indeed. So, Calm, there's this. Do you know what? Like, it's an interesting looking title. You may either love or hate this, right? There's no doubt in my mind whose belt this is, right? But the fact that this was kind of done without WWE. I know they ultimately kind of took it on, and I don't know, did they give it back actually when he left WWE? Or did he have to change it? I can't quite remember how that works, but as an IP, this was very much his. Zack Ryder's got a fun history with WWE in terms of getting himself over with Z True Hollywood Stories, his YouTube side of things.
I was going to say, you're going to have to mention what the title is for the audio listeners.
Apologies, audio listeners. This is Zack Ryder's Internet Championship that it was created. So it's the design to help those who are listening rather than watching. That is essentially Zack's sunglasses and bandana and hairstyle as like the concept of the front of the belt. Now, this was something that he put over himself. He created himself and put over himself through his own social media. And this was some of the controversy for Zach, was that I think there's a large belief that he kind of almost got punished by WWE for getting himself over rather than getting over in the company way. But interestingly, as I understand it, they did sort of adopt this as part of their IP. So it did become a WWE thing, whilst not really on TV all that much, maybe briefly, and not really pushed as a legit title. Which they so could have gone all in with this and had an internet title and actually embraced the internet age. They didn't fully do that, but they did acknowledge that it was over enough that they, incorporated it into their IP. And I feel like, I don't know if it's still necessarily called the Internet Championship, but he's basically adopted his own title.
Yeah, still got one, hasn't he now?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's like a rebirth of this or whether WWE still hold the IP on this and it's called something else, because I haven't really followed the Matt Cardona stuff all too heavily. But certainly, I think the story around it more than anything is quite a unique one. But
yeah, it also makes me feel old because obviously this was the time when Matt Cardona was going, we should really leverage this thing called the internet.
Yeah, and it was when we're around to basically go, yes, internet. That sounds like it. And it's really such a shame that they never embraced it, because I mean, look at how big everything is now. I mean, it's not even got a TikTok logo on it. That's how old this is.
Exactly. It's got the old Twitter logo on the side.
I know, right?
Like, for me, this is what the 24/7 title should have been.
Yes.
Like, imagine just like having a weekly thing on YouTube where you just find the hijinks of Matt Cardona. Zack Ryder.
By the way, nobody's embraced this sort of thing yet. The fact that AEW have got two, despite what people believe, two very popular internet-based shows in Dark and Dark Elevation, and they don't have an internet title that is defended on those shows, fucking pisses me off.
Yeah,
that would be the concept straight away. Internet title is defended on the internet.
Yeah, I think haven't Impact tried to come up with the Digital Media Championship or something?
I think they did, yeah.
But again, I don't think they've leveraged digital media for that as such.
But the stipulation, the restriction is there. It's in and of itself. You don't defend it on TV. You defend it on the internet.
Yeah,
that makes sense. They've got internet shows, so that's how it works. But hey ho. That's a different rant for a different day. As far as designs go, this is very unique to Zach, and I think very in keeping with his character at the time. But again, more fascinating is the fact that he put this out into the world and made it a thing off his own bat, which is nice to see.
And if all that was true, where he got punished for being innovative and actually trying to do something, then it is such a shame, really, because it could have been so much more. Like, for me, and I'm joking saying like fucking hell, it makes us feel old, but the internet really was not so much emerging. It was kind of around then, but they just weren't leveraging it. So imagine having like something on the WWE's YouTube channel where once a week you tune in and there's like a 20-minute segment or something where it's either a match that's taking place or him trying to avoid people trying to fucking take him out or whatever. And it's like, you can only find out what happens.
They could have embraced Matt's awareness of social media and actually had him not lead that. It's a shame because the closest thing we've got to WWE embracing that sort of stuff is them letting up, down, down be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, that started out as just Xavier Woods playing video games with other WWE stars. WWE have acknowledged how popular it is, that it's now part of WWE's product. And it's part of WWE's channels and stuff. And they have a title. They have the up, down, down title again for that show and for them playing video games. But they've actually acknowledged at least some level of like awareness that this sort of stuff's popular, man.
But like, the whole 24/7 title thing was just a massive failure because it ended up only being defended on Raw in matches that were pre-scheduled, and it was just like, if anything, it should be
lost sight of this.
The title changed hands over the weekend. Here's a clip. It's just like constantly going on, something to
give
follow.
Themselves some sort of filler. They did start out that way. Do you remember you had like Riddick Moss going for like a run or something, and then someone would try and go. They just kind of abandoned the whole thing.
I know. Massive shame, but fair play to Zach for doing all this off his own back, and shame it didn't actually work out. But that's not on him. Just WWE being missing the boat on it. In at number 5, controversially this one, because you're not the biggest fan of this,
I am not.
So this is Daniel Bryan's eco-friendly championship, which he introduced at a time he was playing a pretty good heel. And he was very much all around the environment and how everyone is a scumbag because they pollute and they do all this kind of stuff. So it just massively fit his character so much. And do you know what? I still think it looks pretty fucking cool to see like a wooden and burlap version of the fucking title, and it's all made out of recycled materials and all this kind of stuff.
My only issue with it is the aesthetic. I'm not overly thrilled on the look. This, I totally agree with you. This was so in keeping with him as a character. Like, I totally agree with that bit.
Yeah.
I'm just not thrilled on the design, personally.
But I mean, there's only so much you can do with wood and
I understand
sacks.
that they were very limited with what they wanted to do here. They wanted to do something that was environmentally friendly.
Me growing up as a kid, I was a massive fan of Captain Planet. Anyone OG,
he's a hero.
Out there. Yeah. Get pollution down to zero or something like that. But I was a massive fan. So this was kind of like Dan O'Brien's version of that, but I don't know, it was just so in keeping with his character, the fact he was such a heel. And I remember when he unveiled it, people were just like, that's so cool, but you're such a dick, because like it was so fitting for him, but at the same time it's like, and you know, to people like your good self, you're probably looking at it going, oh my god, what's he done to the belt? But for me, I just loved it, and I love the fact that, you know, as a heel, he managed to do that and get it over the way that he did, where it was just like, that's exactly
so
what he was doing.
comfortable to wear, though.
Yeah, of course it is.
So scratchy and horrible.
He's full of rashes now, but still, I don't know. It just, especially in like, this is one of the more modern versions of a title modification as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it was something that was just so in keeping with his character, but also never kind of been done before, where it was like, what the fuck is this? It's made out of wood and recycled materials. What's going on? So
yeah, no, as I say, it's certainly unique.
Indeed. So that's in at number 5. In at number 4.
Okay, so I feel like this is the definitive spinner belt, right? If we're being honest, the WWE title spinner was wank, right? I get it. Ultimately, it was John Cena's thing at that point. And it became synonymous and almost a de facto title. Even the people who weren't John Cena had a spinner title for no reason.
Yeah.
This, I thought, was awesome. I love this US title. This was back when John Cena was an up-and-comer and becoming a thing. And when he won the US title, it was a big deal. And the fact that he was like, again, he was important enough to say he's going to make it his own thing. And that was the first time we had a spinner. And we were kids and we fucking thought it was the best fucking thing ever. So he'd come out with
not ashamed to say we were in the chain gang.
I loved the design of it more so. Like, it weren't just like a little spinning WWE logo. That whole fucking plate spun and it looked awesome.
Yeah.
And I think the design's on point. I think it was on point for Thugonomics John Cena. And it was just so in keeping with the situation at the time, because his rise was sort of meteoric, really. If you look back, it was actually a lot shorter than you, like, in terms of time span. Wasn't as long as you remember it being. Like, but you know, him building up to being a US champ and having this title is just fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, some people fucking love the world title spinner. I can't stand it. Was, for me, that's one of the lowest points. I hate that probably more than the IC title now, and everyone knows how much I hate that. It didn't fit. But for a US title, there's no disrespect to the belt, but it's not a top tier title.
I feel like the spinner for the WWE one was probably, it was shitting on the prestige a little bit, whereas the US didn't have that longevity.
Yeah, it turned it into a toy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, which you can't really do. But for the US title,
as daft as it sounds, because you could look at this without context and go, "What do you mean that's tacky as fuck?" But that looks classier than the WWE one, as far as I'm concerned.
And it was even more in fitting with his character. Do you know what I mean? But when he did the same to the WWE one, it was fucking massive gold, garish spinning. Oh, it's awful. Yeah,
it just doesn't look as good. It aesthetically just does not.
And the fact he
look
kept it so long after Cena had it as well. Obviously, like, they had a rated R version that Edge had. They had Miz turning it upside down, having it as the M. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it was just.
Yeah, that's the shittest custom title ever. Just turn the spinner upside down and then make it
To be fair to Miz, though, like, that's his thing, isn't it? Even when he's on the microphone, the little microphone case is upside down. So, but yeah, I can't believe they kept that one so long. And to be fair to this one, after Cena kind of was done with it and out the scene, they quite quickly was like, okay, we'll get rid of it and go back to the main one. So it didn't stick around like a bad stench, but
no, it just stuck around as long as Cena did.
Yeah. Which was like a bad snack.
But no, US title, the best spinner. The best spinner should be number 1.
Agreed. Should have been the only spinner, yeah. But there you go. Okay, in at number 3, I love this belt, right? Okay. So it's a travesty that the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase was never the world champion. Anyone who doesn't know the story, Andre the Giant beat Hulk Hogan for the belt and sold it to Ted DiBiase, who's obviously the $1 Million Man. But then Jack Tunney was like, you can't do that. And so stripped Ted DiBiase of the belt, and therefore Ted DiBiase was never the world champion. So what did they do?
But if Andre was willing to sell him the belt, why wasn't he willing to just lie down and take the pin?
Well, there is that, but I don't know. But essentially, that wasn't allowed to happen. So basically, Andre was stripped, Ted DiBiase was stripped, and the belt got put up for a tournament. So what they did? No, it's naked. Buck naked. So what did $1 Million Man do? He was like, well, if you're going to do that to me, I'll make my own title. And it was the most fitting belt for somebody who calls themselves the $1 Million Man. Like, just... It's like, it's funny because it looks so good on him. It's not something I would ever buy and like put up in my house and display or expect any main title to look like. But for a custom belt that's meant to be the main title, I don't think there's a better one that suits.
To be fair,
the individual more
now,
than this one.
Can I ask? And this isn't about the belt design. How do you feel about it? It's a very slight resurgence in NXT with LA Knight.
Not good. Not good about it at all. I like seeing.
Got forgotten again, hasn't it?
Well, I like seeing Ted again, but I don't like LA Knight. It's probably common knowledge by now. I don't get why he's over. I don't get the whole I
don't get it either.
Let me talk to you. It's like shit. So to have someone like him besmirch, to quote William Regal, the prestige of this title was not my favorite thing of all time. But yeah, there was nothing more kind of fitting than $1 Million Man coming out with his own belt that he's fucking paid for and just walking around with it himself. And the fact that he then had to go and defend it against the likes of Virgil and stuff like that and became its own thing. Like, fair play to him, pioneering, trailblazing. You look at like the FTW title.
Eyebrow raising. Oh.
But like, Taz did the same with the FTW title, and others like, Zack Ryder, we just said then, making their own belts. Like, this was the original. This was, and it made so much sense.
In making your own
the guy
belt.
Who's got all the money, he's a millionaire. Why not just make your own belt then and just call yourself the champ?
Yeah, so, the $1 million champ.
Indeed. So, bit garish, but very, very fitting with the guy himself. So, has to be on the list. So, coming in, runner-up at number 2.
Hardcore title, man. I fucking love the idea of this title. Now, obviously, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the hardcore title, the hardcore concept was essentially that of the 24/7 title, but when they did it better. So the idea was the title is always on the line. It actually had, in the Attitude Era, much better shenanigans going on, backstage stuff, much more brutal, much more iconic people involved as well. But what I loved about this title is the design of it being smashed up
Winged
WWE
Eagle.
title, Winged Eagle.
Yeah,
I fucking love that as a concept because it just embodies the whole hardcore idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as if, I think there's been loads of history and rumors on this as like, oh, this is the infamous one that was like broken or blown up or whatever the fucking storyline was. And like it is an actual WWE title that was trashed. And it's like, that's apparently been debunked as like, no, they designed this specifically to be the hardcore title. But I love the fact that it even caused rumors and shit like that. Like, it's that title from the bin. And like, no, it's not.
I love the way it kind of came about with so obviously they moved away from the Winged Eagle to the big eagle, the big gold, whatever. Well, not the big gold, but they call it the big eagle.
The big eagle, I think.
Yeah. So obviously they moved belts on, so this was just kind of sitting around, and so Mankind just decides to have a hardcore title made of it with like little duct tape on it and everything. You look at it and go, that should be awful, but it's fucking cool as fuck. It's like the opposite reaction to what we got. We had the 24/7 title, and you're like, the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like, this was the Winged Eagle that's literally looked hardcore.
Yeah. I love it. I think that to me is what makes the design is like the hardcore scene as an idea. That's just perfect title for it, isn't it?
Yeah. 1,000,000%.
It's a legit title that's been hardcored.
Exactly.
It can't. That's the best way of fucking doing it. It's brilliant.
It was so good.
Such a cool design.
And obviously synonymous with Mick, and just responsible for so many fun moments and memories. I think from like the Attitude Era, of just crazy shit that happened and stuff like that. And so people look at it and go, "Oh, the hardcore title, it meant nothing," but effectively it was the world title that just had a bit of a different name and was more for hardcore people. So it gets slept on a bit. I think it's I don't know. For me, I always looked at it as like.
And again, this is, I don't know, it was not perfect, but this was when the it's always being defended concept worked.
Yeah.
Like, 24/7 title they didn't keep to that. And to be fair, hardcore title didn't, like, they eventually just abandoned the concept and the title, but this was when it actually kind of worked. You had tons of just, like, remember, like, if you were in the mid-card scene, there was a chance you were going to be involved in the backstage scrambles that were for this title.
It's like, well, how can we get this person on TV tonight? Well, maybe you can knock out Molly Holly and win the hardcore title. Yeah. All right, then. You know what I mean? It's like anything could happen, couldn't it?
And it felt unpredictable. I fucking loved it. Yeah,
definitely.
And maybe looking at it with a bit of nostalgia here, but...
Well, still, that's definitely one of the best titles, I would say. Just for coolness factor alone.
Let's talk about the best, man.
The best. It couldn't be anything other than the Smokin Skull title. I fucking love this belt. Obviously,
I fucking love this belt.
It holds a bit of a sentimental place in our hearts because
it does.
As a kid, I had obviously not like what you get now, like replica titles, but I had like the plastic kids
one,
foam versions of these, of both the Smokin Skull and the Big Eagle belts. And obviously these were ones that me and my good friend here, Anthony, would wrestle over and fight over. And
because we're super cool, we
wear in public.
Yeah. Because we're super cool people.
Go to the shop for some food, take our belts. Why wouldn't we? So, yeah, we've always been cool.
Always.
Obviously, as you can tell. Yeah. But, I don't know, you take a championship, like the world title, and you give it to someone like Stone Cold Steve Austin, who is anti-authority, just doesn't give a fuck, doesn't play by the rules or anything like that. Why wouldn't he just go, well, do you know what, this title belt sucks, I'm just going to have one with a massive skull on it because that's the bottom line, because I say so. And you look at it and just think, this is so iconic of a belt for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Damn right.
You know, no one else could have pulled this off. Like, we talked about the Brahma Bull one before, which never happened. Part of me thinks it's because it just wasn't as cool as this. Yeah. And it would have just ended up being like, you know, a failed attempt at being this cool.
And it would always pale in comparison, really. Look at where the Brahma Bull title ended up on this list compared to the Smokin Skull.
Well, exactly.
Smokin Skull is infinitely more cool.
It is. But I don't know, just look at it. It's just, what a sexy belt. And it's like, it's mad because for anyone other than Stone Cold, you'd never go, this should be the world title. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't do it. But for Stone Cold, there couldn't be a more fitting belt, I think, where you'd look at it and go, that's Stone Cold's belt there. Look at that. So I don't know. How fucking cool is it? It's got snakes, it's got skulls, smoking skulls.
Yeah. It's got a bottom line right there.
Because Stone Cold said so. So yeah, that's our
list.
That's our list. That's our 10 best custom WWE titles.
Do you agree?
Do you not? Is there something we missed? Do you think that we are shitting too hard on the big John Cena, big gold spinner?
Because I don't. I think we could have been much worse. I would put a segment out about how shit that is if we wanted to.
Yes. Never been a fan. But yeah, did we miss anything? Was there another custom belt on there that you think should be on the list? Let us know in the comments.
And as a unique treat, if you put A2theK 10 in the comments, nothing will happen.
Nothing. But where you can put A2theK 10 is on topropbrewing.com. We've sampled and drunk the delicious coast to coast.
Coast to coast. It's hard to see because it goes invisible. Yeah. But coast to coast, this one's called.
It is.
American Pale Ale. Delicious. High volume, is it? I mean, they've given us some high volume, so
it's probably not bad.
Relatively
4.7.
4.7, so it's a reasonably good volume.
Yeah, it's okay.
But a delicious, fresh. Out, you know what? It's kind of coast to coast. It's got the mountainous image on there.
Feels fresh.
And that kind of works because it is kind of fresh and outdoorsy to me in a way.
Indeed. Yes, that new pine smell. So yeah, head over to topropbrewing.com, use A2theK 10, get 10% off. And Anthony, tell the folks about the merch.
Well, do you like buying t-shirts?
Yes.
Because I know I do.
Yeah.
Well, you can buy an A2theK wrestling t-shirt with our logo emblazoned on it. You can also buy the likes of our House of Purple t-shirt, Carl's particular favourite, the Predict This t-shirt. You can buy our Whiskey and Wrestling, which is a classic. That's been with us since near enough day one. You can buy all of these on ProWrestlingTees.com, Carl.
Indeed.
And you can buy them for the low price of however much we put them on for.
That's true.
So check them out, buy them all, wear them.
Indeed.
That's pretty much
it. So hopefully you enjoyed this little segment of 10 custom WWE titles. As we said, let us know in the comments anything we missed.
If you didn't enjoy it, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, tell us to go fuck ourselves. But until then, we will say thank you and bye.